This was definitely on our bucket list. A major goal was to win the West Coast Conference cross-country championship on both sides.
We want to be able to put WSU back on the map. We want to go win championships. We want to continue to strive for all the things that every basketball player dreams of. And so,
Washington State, we come in with that mindset that we have to go prove people wrong, and we have to go do things a little bit different. And I think that's the message that our guys need to hear today in film, and we try to preach that as much as we can.
Here we go. It is another episode of the Inside WSU Athletics podcast. We are so excited to have everyone tuning in for this show. We've got plenty to get to. A big accomplishment that we are so thrilled to highlight with cross country winning both the men's and women's WCC championships. We will have Wayne Phipps, our first ever two-time guest, join us as we'll talk about that great achievement for the program. And then we'll turn our attention to a little bit of hoops talk as we'll have David Riley, the head coach of the WSU men's basketball team, and Parker Gerrits, a member of the squad, joining us as well here on this episode. And Ann, we got a lot to get to, but first, what cross country accomplished that is just really outstanding, and we're excited to talk more about that coming up.
Oh my gosh, for sure. I am so proud of them, and I'm so happy for the coaches and the student athletes and the families and friends, and just a great accomplishment, and excited that we could get Wayne back on to talk about it a little from his perspective and kind of what led to the accomplishments and as he's looking forward to regionals and beyond. But amazing. I mean, the first ever conference championship for the women, the first for the men in I think 50 years, but just so exciting to win on the individual side, the team side. I think a couple course records. Just all in all, a great day for the Cougs, and really, really happy and so proud of them.
Absolutely big time. WSU swept the individual championships as well, with Rosemary Longisa and Solomon Kipchoge each winning their events. The women earned their first cross-country championship, as you said, in program history, while the men earning their first conference championship in 50 years, as you were touching on. But worth repeating, dating back to 1975. So just outstanding stuff, and we'll have more on that coming up with Wayne Phipps, but highlighting this time of year where it is action-packed going on for athletics. Football against Oregon State. A lot of Coug fans there in Corvallis. Came up just short, and looking forward to being back in action after the bye coming at a good time to get everyone back healthy and be back at home coming up November 15th against Louisiana Tech, and some of those other events. Hoop season officially getting started on Monday. I was going to say Monday night, but it was Monday in the day for the women, and then Monday in the evening for the men, both against Idaho. Both ended up falling in tight games against the Vandals. Volleyball, they won both last week, defeating Pacific and then getting the win at Oregon State. They'll be home on Saturday to host Pepperdine at 1. Soccer celebrated the senior class. That was on Saturday. Some really tough weather, but battled conference leader Pepperdine in that one. So maybe Mother Nature wasn't the most cooperative in that one.
No, but soccer played so amazing in those conditions, and really excited for volleyball and those wins. And one of the things, too, to mention, I don't know if you had a chance where it was in the middle of the day with the early tip with the women, but we've been talking for a long time about doing a Cougar Kids Day, something that's gotten more and more popular, especially with women's basketball throughout the country. And we've certainly been the opposing team in many kids days and my ears ring for hours because the kids are so enthusiastic and just screaming and dancing nonstop. And it was so great. I think we had maybe 12 different schools represented throughout Whitman County. And I think I counted almost 20 buses or vans of people that came and just did a lot of fun instructional stuff. So it was a really exciting field trip and just a great chance to get the kids, and the teachers and I'm sure some parent chaperones on campus, and just, a great way to start a Monday for those kids and for our team. The environment was great, and really excited for Lindsey Brown and a lot of folks on our staff who had a lot to make that happen. So really, really excited about that and continuing to build in the future, hopefully. So.
It was a really cool scene. I saw there was even kind of some math that they were factoring in for the kids. And I was there with my family, and Butch was busy. Butch is busy for any game, but there were a lot of high fives to give out with all those kids there.
A lot of dancing, a lot of high fives. Yeah, a lot of autographs by Butch, I think. So most definitely. I think hopefully Butch got a nap between the two games in the afternoon because he had his work cut out for him.
That was a busy day for Butch, and just going through just such a busy time here. So we mentioned soccer, that tough weather, but battling conference leader Pepperdine. They're going to close out the season this week, hosting San Francisco Wednesday at 7, and then travel to Pacific on Saturday. Tennis closed out at the Gonzaga Invitational. That was last weekend. Seniors Ava Alvarez Sandy and Maxine Murphy will compete at the ITA Sectional Championship this week in Seattle. And swimming had dominant wins over Denver and Northern Arizona last weekend, setting 7 pool records in the process. The Cougs going to host Colorado State Friday. That's at 4. Last chance this fall for Coug fans to see them at home. And then rowing concluded the fall schedule by competing at the head of the lake in Seattle. I'm out of breath, Ann. There's a lot going on.
Well, that's a lot. There's a lot going on. A lot of great stuff. So that was good. Great recap, though. That was awesome.
Well, speaking of great stuff, we are going to have Wayne Phipps join us here in just a moment to talk about that great accomplishment for both on the men's and women's side in cross country. Well, here we are, as we said before, joined by our first ever 2-time guest on the Inside WSU Athletics podcast. And for great reason, Wayne Phipps here to talk about that incredible accomplishment for cross country here at WSU. And Wayne, what were the keys? What made it happen, winning the team titles for both the men and the women?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back. But yeah, it was a great weekend and a lot of hard work by a lot of people other than myself. Student athletes obviously do a great job preparing themselves, but Coach Harmon with the women's side, Cameron Dean, our assistant coach, does an amazing job. But it takes everybody, athletic medicine with Maggie, strength and conditioning with Will, our nutrition staff, the administrative support, the fans that were out there. I had former student athletes from 25 years ago that came out to support. So it takes everybody, and it was an exciting time for sure, and super happy for those kids. They've worked so hard for this.
Well, and so exciting, our first WCC championships for Washington State University. So obviously, thrilled with our friends in the WCC to be partners with them for, last year and this year, and really exciting. And again, I'll add my congratulations. But talk a little bit too about maybe the performances of Rosemary and Solomon. I mean, the whole team, as you mentioned, and the coaches all did great, but those two winning the individual titles, I think setting course records. I mean, just maybe talk a little bit about their performances specifically as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible performances by both of those student athletes. Definitely cross country team effort. We need everybody, but watching Rosie this year, the amount of improvement that she's made from when she first arrived in her very first season running cross country ever is absolutely amazing. Probably the only thing that exceeds what she's been doing on the course is how sweet a young person she is. I don't know if there's a sweeter human being on the planet than Rosie, but she's worked so hard, worked so well with Coach Harmon, and she's just making it look easy right now. She's competing at a level that rivals the top couple in the entire nation, and echo that exact statement with Solomon too. He's been just very consistent, very bought in, very coachable. Every weekend seems to get better and better. And again, they make it look very easy, but it's a difficult task. And that conference in cross country is a very, very strong conference, featuring, with Gonzaga and Portland being perennial NCAA qualifiers. So for them to perform as well as they did in a field like that was very impressive.
So speaking about NCAA qualifiers and kind of what the next steps are, talk maybe about the confidence going into regionals from this performance, or just generally as you look, to finish off now kind of more of the, national championship segment of the season, so to speak.
Yeah, this was definitely on our bucket list. A major goal was to win the West Coast Conference cross country championship on both sides, but that regional meet is the meet that we need to perform in order to make it to NCAAs. We've had a great regular season, have secured a lot of what we anticipate key points to help us qualify for NCAAs. But at the end of the day, we still have to perform at that meet. But with the way we've been performing and how well we battled this past weekend, we are very confident and looking forward and excited for 9 days from now.
Well, and it's great to hear the alums and all the folks that were out there to help support and as well. Cougar Nation is an amazing thing. So again, congratulations. It's so great to be able to have you on again to talk about it for a minute, and just such a great accomplishment for the teams, and excited for the next few weeks. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for all your support and all you do, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Well, thanks again, Wayne, and again, making Cougs everywhere proud. And coming up next, we're going to turn our attention to hoops. We've got Parker Gerrits from the WSU men's basketball team joining us. Well, now welcoming in Parker Gerrits from the men's basketball team here at WSU. And Ann, you kind of blink, and Parker, who I know the Coug ties run deep for him, but here he is. Parker's the longest tenured player on the team this year.
I know. Parker, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for being our longest tenured Coug on the team right now.
Always.
You guys are great. So maybe let's start out. Just tell us a little bit about you, your childhood, where you grew up, how you got into basketball, whatever you want to share.
I am from Olympia, Washington. I actually first grew up in a small town called Yelm. But yeah, I've been a Coug fan my whole life. Both parents went here. I think a lot of people know that now, but a lot of Cougar grads in the family, and have been coming to Pullman since I was a little kid for Cougar football games and staying in the RV lot and stuff. And so, yeah, I think I've been into basketball since I was really little. My dad was a high school coach, and so I've been following him around since I could walk and running around the gym, dribbling the ball up and down the floor. So I got into basketball at a really young age and kind of just fell in love with it from the jump, and kind of took it and ran with it. So, yeah, I mean, other than that, nothing crazy else about me. Kind of low key, don't really try to do much else but hang out with friends and family, and yeah, stay really down to earth.
Okay, that sounds great. So what about some of your basketball, either heroes or mentors growing up? I know.
Well, I've always been a Klay Thompson fan because I was a Coug. But a couple of my favorite players, I'm a big Steve Nash fan. Kind of take a lot of pride in being a underrated, overlooked that guy for being one of the smaller guys, maybe not as quick guy out there, as well as a John Stockton fan too, being from the Washington area and stuff like that. So those are kind of some of the basketball guys I've looked up to.
Awesome.
Well, not many people get to spend time with their hero, but that's something that you got to cross off your bucket list, I might say, or just I don't know if you ever thought that would become a reality. But can you tell us the story of what happened for you this summer?
Yeah, so I got a call from Coach Riley when I was driving back from Spokane right before school started, and he just asked who golfs on the team, and I said me and Simon Hildebrandt, and he asked if anyone else, and I said no, it's really just us. He said, okay, I got something for you guys on Tuesday, and we were like, okay, and I didn't really think of anything. I thought I was going to be golfing with a donor or golfing with maybe President Cantwell because she was new here, and so wasn't thinking too much of it. But then later that day we had our barbecue, and Ike came up to me and was like, you excited? And I still didn't know. And so that's when the wheels started turning a little bit more, that, okay, this might be someone a little more big time. And I thought he was my first thought, but I didn't want to jinx it. So, but when the next day at our first workout, Coach Riley came up to us and told us who it was going to be. And I immediately texted all my friends and all my family and stuff like that, letting them know what I was doing today, and was taking pictures with him out in the golf course. And it was awesome just being able to be in his world for a little bit. And he's so down to earth and humble and not very egotistical. And so being able to it felt like I was out there holding my buddies, just talking crap and making bets and stuff like that, and picking his brain a little bit, but not too much. And so it was awesome.
That is so cool. And we mentioned it at the beginning, Parker. You are the longest tenured Coug on the team. Yeah. How does that feel to blink and look around and know that you're kind of that veteran presence for the team right now?
I mean, I don't feel that old, but at the same time, it is kind of weird to sit back and think that I'm still one of the last ones left, and still trying to get back to where we were my first year that I got here, and trying to get that experience from being able to sit back and watch it from afar, redshirting that year. And so it does feel a little weird, but it's cool still being able to connect with those fans that remember that team, and the fans that are still coming to games that I remember sitting courtside. Like I remember last night at our game, there was a a little kid and his dad have courtside season tickets, and being able to go up to him and give him a high five and remember, hey, don't worry, I'm still here and stuff like that. So it's been fun to interact with the fans in that way, and also just continue to try to strive for the same things that team was able to accomplish.
You've got a unique perspective because not every student athlete here at WSU grew up going to games, grew up spending time in the RV lot. What does Pullman mean to you? What does it mean to you to be at WSU? What do you love most about being a Coug?
I think Pullman's just a second home to me. I think what I love most about it is just that I know how much we talk about it. Is like, yeah, everybody does come back home. Like, I think everybody realizes how special this place is, and that the loyalty and the pride that we carry on our shoulders, most people don't understand. And so being able to share that with people, I think, is what's coolest about it. And the other people that don't get it will never understand it, right? And so I think being able to come back and see the people that have gone through the hardships with us and have been able to continue to step their next foot forward each and every day is what makes Pullman so special, and what makes being a Coug so special.
So, Parker, switching gears a little bit, through the generosity of a lot of donors, the team was able to take a trip this past summer to England and Spain. So tell us a little bit about that. What was that like?
It was cool. I mean, I've never been over there internationally before in Europe, and so I really didn't know what to expect. And I think what I really enjoyed about it too is because like basketball has so many international players these days, and we have a lot of international guys on our team. So being able to share that with like our international guys, and like when they come to us and you're able to show them what kind of the American culture is, like going over there was being able to just see how it was over there in Europe. And we didn't go to a lot of places where some guys are from, but still their excitement to go back home to their home country and being able to just watch the people interact and trying new foods and walking around. I think my mom described it best. She said, when you read about all the history and the cool things in school when you're a kid, you don't really care about it. Once you get there, it's so sick to see, and you're just like, okay, I want to go see this, I want to go see that. And so it was a really awesome experience, and one I'll definitely never forget.
That's awesome.
What a great opportunity for the team. And Parker, here we are, the season just getting started, but so much ahead of the Cougs in front of the team. I know the final outcome, not what you and everyone else wanted, but there is still so much to come. And that next game on tap is Davidson, and a lot of great home games for fans to come see through November and in December. Even though one game down and 30 plus to go, what has you most excited about what this team can do and about the season as a whole?
I think just our urge to win. I think everybody here have been an underdog in their life and have been overlooked at one point in their life. And so in a basketball sense, and I think all of us we don't really care about who's successful this night. We know a new guy's going to be successful and have his days. And we're here to celebrate each other. I don't think we're not thinking about ourselves first. We're thinking about each other first. And so I think that's what makes this team really unique. And on top of that, like I said, just our want to win. I think we want to be able to put WC back on the map. We want to go win championships. We want to continue to strive for all the things that every basketball player dreams of. And so I think this team puts a lot of their own stuff to the side and really thinks about the team first. And so, and Coach Riley and all of our coaches put us in a great spot and prepare us every single day to help us do that. So, but on top of that, I think we just have fun in everything we do, whether that's off the court or on the court. I think this team really meshes really well together. We're laughing, we're having fun, we got smiles on our faces. So I'm really excited to see what we do, and I'm excited to show Coug fans some stuff.
I mean, Parker, the team does seem close, tight knit. I mean, Coach Riley's teams always seem to have that, kind of personality or demeanor. Like, what are some of the things maybe he or the coaching staff do you think, to help create that environment? You have a lot of new players, but yet they seem like, you wouldn't know it. Everybody seems pretty tight knit.
Mm-hmm. I think they do a really good job in that recruiting process, finding good culture guys that really understand and have good character and are really selfless. But on top of that, we do a lot of team activities, especially during the summer. But as the season goes on too, we still do a couple of stuff, like we'll go play putt-putt, we'll go bowling, we'll go there's a VR thing in Moscow we go do sometimes, just all kinds of different things. We're always getting food together, they're always encouraging us to do stuff together, whether that's, I've had the guys over a couple of times to barbecue some burgers or make breakfast sandwiches in the morning and just hang out and bond together. And I think the more we're together, the more closer we're going to get, obviously. And so they do a really good job at making sure we're always together.
Well, and then maybe do you have a good Coach Riley story that wouldn't get you in any trouble or, disclose any team secrets or anything, but something you could tell us about him that fans wouldn't know but might find fun?
I don't know.
And you can
Coach
take the
Riley
fifth
doesn't
too. If you don't have any,
he
that's
doesn't
okay.
get himself into he doesn't embarrass himself a lot. But I would say a fun fact about Coach Riley: Coach Riley's a big sauna guy. He's got a sauna at home. Some of us will go over. I'm not a fan. The Finnish dudes are fans, but those guys will go over to Coach Riley's house a lot and hop in his sauna. But Coach Riley's always in the sauna every morning or night, one of the two.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is great there, Parker. Well, we appreciate the time here, and you're a great ambassador for everything WSU. Thanks so much, and excited for what's to come for the season. And that sauna tip, that's a great way to transition from you to Coach Riley here coming up. So we got
Yeah,
him
we didn't
on.
tell you he was on next, so now we can.
Oh, perfect. I love it.
Thanks again, Parker. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Go
Parker.
Cougs.
Appreciate it. Go Cougs.
All right, coming up, we will have the man we were just talking about, the head coach of the Cougar men's basketball team, David Riley, joining us. Well, we're continuing on with the theme of hoops, and Ann, we're excited to welcome in the head coach of the WSU men's basketball team, David Riley.
Yeah, Dave, thanks for being here. So we'll jump right in. We're going to learn a little bit about you first, if that's okay. You attended high school, I believe, in Northern California. And how did you end up here in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, got a lot of ties up here. So my dad and uncle, grandparents obviously lived in Wallace, Idaho. My dad was born there. My grandpa went to University of Idaho. And that's kind of the original piece of all this. He was born in Alabama, was in World War II, may have fudged the numbers on his film and said he was a 6'3", 200-pound linebacker coming up to Idaho. And he showed up and he was, about 5'9" and buck 70. And he had hitchhiked up here he was like one of 14 kids. He hitchhiked up here with one bag, and they tried to run him off by having him go against some big dude that was a little overweight. And I guess my grandpa knocked him out 3-4 times, and they kept him on the squad for 4 years. He became a coach at Wallace High School and stayed up in the Northwest for a long time. And so that's the long version of how I ended up here. I went to high school down in California, and really just kind of every summer would spend time in Spokane with my dad's college roommate up at Meade High School, Glenn Williams. My grandparents were up in Penticton at the time, so we'd always drive through Washington and the Northwest. So fell in love with the place and ended up going to college at Whitworth and staying up here ever since. It's been 18 years up in the Northwest now between Spokane and Pullman.
Well, that's great. So then growing up, favorite basketball player or two, and why?
Well, I'll start with the less controversial one. It's Paul Pierce. And just because he was a little slower, got to his spots, I kind of wanted to model my game after Paul Pierce. I liked he talked a little trash, and I don't know. I think I just watched one of the Celtics games when I was younger, and kind of just started liking him and following him. The one I really liked was Adam Morrison. I would go up to Meade High School camp when I was in middle school, and he was at Meade at the time, and then I followed him at Gonzaga and just appreciated his story and loved his passion, the way he played. I guess my two favorite players were two of the bigger trash talkers in the games in their respective environments. So I don't know if there's something to be said for that, but just two guys that I really followed and loved watching.
I love it. I think we have seen an uptick in the courtside seats around our bench because they, you provide good commentary. What about, you've had family members, obviously, in college coaching, and how much of an influence have they been, and did they make you want to get into coaching?
Yeah. It was kind of, I always knew that was something I was really interested in being able to go to my uncle's games when he was at Oregon State. But the big moment for me was going up to my grandpa's. So they when he was a high school coach at Wallace High School, they had a really good season. I can't remember what they exactly did, but it was the 50th anniversary of that team. And I was must have been a freshman or sophomore in college. I was drove up to Wallace to meet them, and there was a huge conference room at one of the restaurants, or one, they booked out one of the back of the restaurants, and it was dang near the whole team, and the stories they told about my grandpa, and how, just how the effect that he had on their lives. And these are, kids from Wallace, Idaho, a small mining town. And it was incredible to see where they all ended up. And I mean, just I look at my uncle and my dad, born in Wallace, Idaho, a tiny little mining community, and one's the head coach of Oregon State, the Chargers, Nebraska. My dad was an anesthesiologist at Stanford, and uh, as far as like OB anesthesia goes, probably the best in the world at what he did. And like the impact that coaches can have, obviously those were his kids, but there's a lot of successful people that came out of Wallace at the time, and they all came back and just preached how much my grandpa impacted their lives. And I realized how much impact you can have on people's lives at that moment, and kind of bounce back and forth between making a little more money early on when I was coming out of college, and sticking with the math and computer science stuff. But I think that just drew me into it, the ability to help and mentor people.
And here you are in year 2 at WSU. When you arrived in Pullman last year, you kind of had to build the team from scratch. You brought a number of guys, and we saw how good they were, those players you brought with you from Eastern Washington. A healthy amount of change from last year's roster to this year's roster. As a coach, how do you build a program when you have to deal with that amount of change kind of from one year to another?
For me, it's just kind of what I've been brought up in as a head coach. It was my first year as a head coach was the first year of the transfer portal. I've had 5 or 6 guys return every year. I obviously last year was different. I had 4 Eastern guys come. I had 2 returners from Washington State, so it was a little different. But you got to find ways to keep your culture and your identity, and preach that, and speed that process along. And I'm still learning what that looks like. When I look at some of my best teams, the 2 championships I won back at Eastern, we started off the season pretty slow, but we kept enforcing our identity, and by the end, we had a very clear, vision of who we were. And I think that it's a season-long process building that, and it's just a little different than it used to be when you had 3-4 year guys that were in the program for a long time.
Well, on that note, how do you look back from 10 years ago to now? And I think we all know probably 5 to 10 years now, there's going to be a healthy amount of change as well. What's it like being in your shoes as a college basketball coach, and how things have evolved?
I'm just really, really lucky to be able to do this. Like, I know that there's frustrating parts about that, some of the changes and guys leaving. It's really hard. Like, it's an emotional deal. And it probably hit me the hardest my first year as a head coach, where I took it really personal when those guys hit the portal. And shoot, they were sobbing, parents were sobbing. It was emotional, but it just hurt me that they would leave. And even though they were bigger opportunities, and it made sense logically and all that stuff. And I think over the last couple of years, I've found a way to really appreciate the time that we do get with these guys, to appreciate that we are coaching and doing this in a game that we love. And like, I think there's so many changes, and it's easy to get wrapped up in the negativity of those, but there's still a lot of positivity. And I don't know, 10 years ago, I would have never guessed that I'd be even a head coach at this point. And it's just exciting to stay on this ride.
So one thing I've really admired in your time at WSU, and certainly, watching what you had done while you were at Eastern, your teams seem really close, really tight knit. What are some things that you do to build togetherness, or how important do you think that is to your success? And you touched on it a little, but maybe just talk about how you get that culture.
That's a really good question. It's really fitting for right now. It's kind of what we're going to go talk to the team about. And I've been at places and as a coach where we have to have an underdog mentality. And I think that's what I love about Washington State. We come in with that mindset that we have to go prove people wrong, and we have to go do things a little bit different. And I think that's the message that our guys need to hear today in film. And we try to preach that as much as we can. Like, we're a team that if our offense, it's not a traditional offense where I'm dictating everything, I'm telling the guys what to do, what plays to run. They're out there making decisions, and they're out there having to make reads, and the power's kind of in their hands. And if they play like a traditional style and they're focused on themselves, it doesn't look good. It looks really stagnant, and it looks like a really bad offense. But when it's playing the right way, like you said, like you can tell on the floor when our guys are playing together. Every year I've been a head coach, we've been top 50 in the country in assists. So eventually the guys figure it out, and it's the only way that we can make it work the way we play. And I think we recruit to it. We get guys that want to be loved and want to be part of a family. But at the end of the day, I think we kind of that's our only chance. If we're not playing together and we're not playing hard on the other teams, this system doesn't work. And I think it takes time to figure that out. But that's the way the game should be played. And there's too much micromanaging in college basketball. When you go look at the highest levels, I think it's a little more read based and a little more fluid. And I think that's what we're shooting for. It just takes a little bit of time. If it was easy, everyone would play it this way.
That's a good point. So we asked Parker about this too, but curious for your thoughts. One of your priorities coming in was to try to, get a foreign trip on the books sooner rather than later. And we were fortunate to have some donors, really step up and make that happen. So team went to England and Spain this past summer. Maybe talk about what that experience was like and why that was important.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, like, going back to your last question about the togetherness, right? Like that's a great way to build that chemistry, especially this day and age when you got a lot of new guys. I think just putting them in uncomfortable situations, the more I've been around groups, like if you're out of your comfort zone, you usually have to rely on someone else. And a lot of those kids going to Europe for the first time, that's out of their comfort zone, and taking a city bus to a game and showing up and having to perform, and like all these different crazy things that would never happen to them in a normal college basketball season, I think is just like an opportunity to get closer, to get more together, to get more resilient. So that's a big part of it. The other part is, you get 10 practices, and it costs money to go to Europe, and we had some amazing donors. It costs money to get players nowadays that can come in that are ready to play. And our mindset is like, hey, if we get 10 extra practices and 3 games in Europe, and we get 10 days in Europe to go become a closer team, can we get 10 guys better with those 10 practices, more so than we would get, with that, using that money to get one player to help us, or whatever, 1 or 2 players to help us. Like, I think it's really clear, if we're a developmental program, what we want to prioritize, and that's spending time together and practicing and working.
Well, coming up this year, just getting started. So excited for what's to come for the team, but it's on the horizon, the new Pac-12. And one of the things that really sticks out about the revamped conference is how good of a hoops conference this is going to be. What's your thought on what's to come with the new Pac-12?
It's exciting. I mean, you just look at the teams that are in this, that have been in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years. I don't know the exact stat, but it's almost all of them have been in the NCAA tournament in the last 2 years or 2 or 3 years. The coaching is incredible. A lot of Hall of Famers in there, and I think that is what makes college basketball great and college athletics great, is the rivalries, the just being able to play the same teams and be consistent, and building up those really great games that consistently happen. And I think that's an advantage that we have in the new Pac-12. And a lot of these teams are have played in the same conference or played every year, and it's just going to be a different team every night, a different way to win, and I'm excited about the opportunity.
Well, it was one heck of a moment to see for Cedric Coward, just back in the NBA draft when he was taken 11th overall, someone that you had mentored, developed when he was at Eastern Washington and here at WSU. You were back with him for the draft. What was that experience like? Seeing him get drafted, and of course, it has been so outstanding. He's been flourishing in his time in the NBA so far.
Yeah, it's been so cool to see, and like the dude just does it the same everywhere. Like, he's Mr. Efficient when he played for me. He's coming in, and his numbers are crazy. He's like shooting 60% or something like that, and not turning the ball over. And so it's really cool just to see him stay steady with his basketball, and then who he is as a person is what made this all possible. Like going to the draft, spending time with me and Pedro when he's got all these things going on, and making sure that he, just shows love to his family and the people that he's closest with. Like, not a lot of guys are doing that. And he's just a humble, hardworking guy, and really appreciate that I got to coach him for 3 years. And he really appreciates his time at Wazoo. Like, he may only spend a year here, and I know the fans didn't get to see him as much as we all wanted to, with his injury, but like what he was able to accomplish here, the exposure that he got, like he was on some radars before he came to Washington State. But we had every NBA team, we had multiple GMs come all the way to Pullman to watch practices. Those guys do their homework, and it wasn't just the 6 games that got him in that lottery range. It was the fact that he was performing. He put on weight while he was up here. He always talked about how good the grade up was, and all those little facilities and little bells and whistles that we're able to offer. I think he took advantage of those, and just I laugh every time I watch him. He's guarding Luka Doncic in the post the other day. It's just crazy to me.
Oh, so you've been in coaching about a decade now. So maybe share with us a funny story without naming names or getting anybody in trouble. Funny story from a road trip, team function, something you recall that just pops into your mind.
Man, there's a lot of them. I just think like those little random off the court moments. And I got to do a better job. I feel like last year didn't do enough of this, but a couple years ago, we were playing really bad early in the season. I think we lost our first 6 Division I games that we played. We maybe won 2 games at that point, and we went to Cal Poly, and we just won an ugly game at Cal Poly. And I think they won 1 Division I game all year that year. And so we found a way to do it. I think we ended up going 20-5 after that. But no one was feeling good after the game. We were a little beat up. We'd been on the road for 8 days. We had 2 vans and just decided to go down to the beach. And it was a real rocky beach, and it was kind of raining out there. And I remember our guys just got out there with their shirts off and sprinted the 200 yards down to the ocean and jumped in the ocean. And just kind of moments like that when you see these guys that are, you guys all see them on the floor when they're super serious and competing, and they're just like little kids out there that a lot of them hadn't been to California ever, and just kind of seeing these guys experience life, and those little moments like that are what makes this thing fun. That's not a good one. I'm sure there's a lot more funny moments than that, but
no, that's okay. That's good. We'll have you on again, and then you'll, think about something on a road trip maybe coming up. I don't know, but I think one of the things I'm always so impressed with is your guys are great. I mean, when you see them in the hallway and you visit with them, or even you and your staff, I've told several people this story, but just, you swinging by, hey, we're going to Ferdinand's to grab ice cream. Does anybody want to come? Or just that investment in not only each other, but I think Washington State and the Pullman community is really cool. So what about, maybe one last question. Greatest thing about being a college coach?
Being on college campus. Like, I think that it's an amazing place to be. Like, I got a computer science guy, a student in here, is in his last year of his senior year. His senior project is helping us with some analytics stuff, and
that's cool.
Just like being able to see all these people that are out here for 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is, to better themselves, to work on themselves, just like kind of being around that energy every day is something that really keeps me going. And I like, obviously the basketball and all these different things, the relationships you get to build, but I love being on a college campus every day.
That's great.
Good stuff, Coach. We appreciate the time, and excited for what's to come. There's a lot of games for the team to have fans come out and get out and see them in action at Beasley in November and December, and just looking forward to it. Thanks for the time.
Appreciate it. Go Cougs.
Thanks. Go Cougs.
Well, a big thanks not only to David Riley, but Wayne Phipps and Parker Gerrits as well. That will do it for this edition of the Inside WSU Athletics podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and go Cougs.